cheaper, but would you say it's getting better? Content world has never been louder than it is today, and organic reach, which we see, is dropping across platforms. Audiences are scrolling faster than ever, and attention spans are getting lower. Do you
Right.
think are some other ways that humans are still doing better than AI?
Shots with humans, the shots of them consuming your product, interacting with your brand or services, you should still film it for the time being because it has a human element to it. Pray for that human touch. AI again can replace, but it does look very AI for the time being. A good content is when people see that content and they pause. How does that content actually make them feel?
What kind of hooks do you think are working best right now? How is TikTok like performing in Malaysia this year?
TikTok is now a pay-to-play platform. Organic reach has dwindled significantly. So Xiaosu is indeed a platform at what TikTok was back in 2022. Brands who are listening to this, you should definitely take advantage of this platform. Well, marketing is not easy. For those who think that marketers are always doing just the fun stuff, right? These things does drain creativity away.
In this world flooded with AI content, brands that win in 2026 will be the ones who tell us. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Eber Show, where we speak to marketers, brand builders, and storytellers, shaping how customer connections will look like in the future. Now, the content world has never been louder than it is today, and AI-generated posts are everywhere, and I'm sure marketers are hungry to know what happens now to the organic reach, which we see is dropping across platforms. And of course, because audiences are scrolling faster than ever and attention spans are getting lower. And that's why today's conversation is so important. We have invited a very special guest with us. Her name is none other than Laura Wong, the founder of Our Stories Lab, a creative strategist who has worked with brands across Asia to craft stories that actually stand out in a sea of sameness. Now, Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ellie, for having me.
Thank you so much. Before we start, Laura, would you like to just introduce yourself and your stories behind Our Stories Lab, which has been such a success? We'd love to know about a bit more about it.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Laura. I run a marketing and productions agency called Our Stories Lab, where our main mission is to craft stories worth telling online. So, this is very apt with today's topic because our mission has always been how do we craft stories that people actually care? And this is before the world of AI has taken off. We have worked with over 40 brands to help them identify their unique edge in storytelling, turning them into photos and videos that will perform very well on social media and work with them to make sure that those content actually grows and reach their intended audience. So over the past 5 years, we have worked with brands across different industries like FMCG, property, tech, healthcare, and just a lot more. So that's what we do.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. And this is usually within Malaysia in itself or across APAC?
So far, most of our clients are based in Malaysia, but we also had clients from Singapore and the Philippines before.
Beautiful. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Laura. I think just before we started the entire podcast, me and Laura were having a conversation about AI and how AI was really just taking off this year. We've seen AI, coming out as, people started to use it to write blogs initially, I'd say like at the end of last year. And all the way until now, like brands are starting to use AI for more front-facing content in social media today and even just on mainstream media as well. Laura, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say AI is pretty impressive from what we saw from the start of 2025 to today, which is the end of 2025. AI has just developed so much from merely just like ChatGPT, which is what I suppose most of us already are using. There's also now like Nano Banana, and a lot of platforms have already integrated AI into it. Nano Banana is a pretty impressive platform. It really makes images look so real. I would say videos it's still some time before it starts to look real. I've seen ads already utilizing AI to create their video ads. However, they don't look too polished right now. So it's quite obvious that it's AI generated. And as a consumer, I tend to skip those videos at the current stage. But then again, we use AI a lot, even in our internal process. Our team, when it comes to producing mood boards for our commercial projects, We use AI to visualize the ideas we have in mind for our clients, which it has saved us so much time compared to what we used to do before, having to search manually the right shot to fit the look and feel of what we imagine the scene to be like. Now we could just do it in seconds with AI. So I would say from a technology perspective, it's very impressive, right?
Yeah. And I was also sharing, right? Coca-Cola recently had that AI campaign. Last year, I believe they started using AI for an entire ad. It was very obvious it was AI, and they got so much backlash on it. And people would think that they would start, paying artists to make the ad for them. But no, they did it again this year. And somehow like the entire sentiment shift, so it's like they were kind of tapping into the negative feedback and use that as yeah. Do you think AI generated content is gonna go this route, or do you
Right.
think there are some other ways that humans are still doing better than AI?
That's very interesting to hear because recently we also did a pitch for a client who wanted to create a music video, but they wanted it to be done with AI. So it was the first time we received such a brief. And at first we were also trying to understand, why do you want to look so AI? Because as humans, we don't want to look so robotic. We crave for that human connection in
Yeah.
campaigns and commercial, right? But yeah, it's interesting to hear that Coca-Cola is doing the same. So I suppose there's two ways to look at it. Brands who are willing to take more risks and can afford the risk, they can definitely try to do AI commercials and let it be fully AI run to test the market and see how the sentiments will react. But for
Mm,
brands who perhaps cannot afford this kind of backlash, because obviously this comes with cost of PR to manage the reactions as well, and not all brands can afford to take that kind of hit, probably do not use AI fully in the video ad format for now.
mm,
You can use it again for certain parts of it. I do see AI having the capability to produce some shots that maybe we don't need to actually film, right?
mm,
Certain maybe very scenic shots, you could easily generate those shots using AI. Certain shots that maybe it's hard to capture or requires a lot of resources to produce, you could use AI for those. But shots with humans, shots of them consuming your product, interacting with your brand or services, probably those shots you should still film it for the time being because it has a human element to it and
mm.
certain expressions and all. We still crave for that human touch, that emotions and all, which AI again can replace, but it does look very AI for the time being.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense in different stages, lah. And I guess Coca-Cola could do it because they're Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Yeah, and content is getting cheaper, but would you say it's getting better? Because what kind of separates scroll past content from content that actually holds attention today?
Yeah. So what we always believe a good content is when people see that content
Mm,
and they pause, how does that content actually make them feel?
mm,
Right? Does the content make them feel happy? Do they feel that they've learned something new? Do they feel inspired? Or perhaps they are gaining a new insight. And if your AI content can fill that role, yeah, by all means, go ahead. Right? But we all know that it can perhaps fulfill some parts of the role, like churning out the images quicker. If it's a fast media that you want to just cover on, you can use AI to do that. But it probably can't fulfill all the roles of a good content yet. For instance, the emotion side of things. It's quite hard for AI to bring out emotions at this current stage, right? For AI avatar to really, really bring the emotion through the content, it's quite challenging at this stage. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's
mm,
quite challenging because it does feel like you're watching a robot and it's hard to get emotions out of a robot. So a good
mm,
content ultimately needs to make your audience feel something. A second is it has to deliver value, right? So what is the message you're trying to convey at the end of the day in your content, through your content? Again, AI is just a tool, right? You could use AI to write your script better,
yeah.
help you clarify your key message better. But to completely replace your avatar for now, I would say it's very obvious again that it's not you.
Yeah.
So whether or not your audience will trust, I've seen, like, for instance, marketing gurus who heavily preach AI and he uses AI to do all his video ads with the key message that AI can replace everything I'm doing,
Mm,
making things faster, more efficient, and I can churn out more value for his audience. However, when I watch those videos, I like really cannot feel the connection with
mm,
this guru who used to be the face in all his videos, and I could really feel his passion, his excitement in terms of what he shares. However, when it's replaced with AI, yeah, it instantly makes me feel disconnected. And
mm,
that's how the same I would also advise brands, right? Like if you're using AI again just to speed up certain part of your process, by all means, yes, because it also helps with cost management. But
mm.
if it cuts off the connection with your audience and you're trying to save costs to remove that, I would say it's not worth it because on social media there's already so much content. So why should people stop to engage with yours? And especially if yours looks, I guess, cheaply produced simply just for the sake of posting. Audience also they will pick and choose their time. You know,
True.
our even I know like a lot of people are wasting time on social media. We are doom scrolling, right? But
True.
we also, as we are doom scrolling, we are also selective with what we stop at, because we
That's
know that our doom scrolling moments will end eventually. So if the content really doesn't have any form of connection or emotions to it, or it looks so AI, right? Yeah, I would just skip it. It's just not worth my time.
yeah, yeah, so true. Do you think there is a difference in like hooks kind of change throughout the year?
Mm.
Like the pacing, the hooks. You mentioned about educational or you mentioned about value for them, right? So what does that kind of translate in terms of like realistic, content?
Well, I would say how hooks work, it's still the same. I don't think that has changed with or without AI. So hooks ultimately is what do you put in your first 3 seconds to stop the scroll. AI again is just it could stop the scroll where people feel like, oh, I want to watch this AI video, or I don't want to watch this another AI video, right? So it could make your audience go either way.
And what kind of hooks do you think are working best right now for organic content?
I wouldn't say there's a one size fit all hook for all brands, because every brand we work with, they have different goals, different products, different audience, right? So ultimately, your hook needs to reach your intended audience. For FMCG brands, most of the time they are targeting a mass audience.
Yeah.
So you then need to find your niche, right? So let's say you are selling a food brand and you are doing cooking videos, then the first 3 seconds of your video needs to look really appetizing. Or the title that you put in the video itself, it has to be SEO friendly.
Yeah.
So for instance, we recently did a video shoot for a food brand, and Christmas is coming up as we are speaking. So the title of our videos and the hooks we put in will be things like easy appetizers to prepare for a group of 6. So
Mm,
something that's very SEO friendly that we know their audience would be likely searching. So then this is a hook itself, right? And of course, the first 3 seconds of the video needs to look really good so that people would really want to watch the rest of the video to learn this appetizer. Yeah, so that's just one example. That I mean, you have so many more different type of industries like property, healthcare, and they all have different niche and audience. What's important is knowing who you're speaking to, what would really appeal to them, and using that as your video hook.
does pacing matter? Like short form, long form content?
Well, attention span is getting shorter every day. Though
Yeah.
I'm not saying that long form content doesn't work. In fact,
Mhm.
we concluded a recent project where it's a long form video project. We created an entertainment show. Each show, the episode is about 20 minutes long. So
Wow.
this is considered long form in today's day and age, right?
Right.
Yeah, so and that series actually took off really well. However, it did take a lot of short form videos to promote this series to ensure that it drives the audience towards the long form content to watch the full episodes. So it does take effort to get people to spend more time to watch your content today. Yeah, but yeah, the essence is attention span is getting shorter every day. So that's the reality. And I think AI is just going to make our attention span shorter even because
Oh
how
no.
fast, yeah, because of how fast information is generated, right?
That's true. And do you think I mean those are for Instagram, I assume that campaign that you were talking about, the long form content was
Mm-hmm.
for Instagram, right?
That one we launched it on YouTube, but when it comes to promoting the show, we promoted it on Instagram and TikTok.
Ah, I see, I see. How is TikTok like performing in Malaysia this year?
I would say TikTok has now reached a maturity stage in Malaysia. When
Mm,
we first started promoting TikTok to our clients and helping our clients grow on TikTok. That was back in 2022. So
Mm.
right after the MCO period, TikTok actually grew super well. We used to get about K views organically
Wow.
per video easily, right? And our highest at some point was 100 to 400K views, organic as well. We didn't need to invest heavily on boosting ads. We just focus on, again, creating good content,
Yeah.
implementing good hooks, executing well. So these were the strategies that worked very well for a young platform that's trying to grow. Now that it's 2025, they have now reached a maturity stage,
Mhm.
which means that TikTok is now a pay-to-play platform. So organic reach has dwindled significantly. Getting 1,000 views per video now is also like a mountain to climb. So it's no longer an organic game. It's definitely a space where TikTok wants to profit now. So
Mm.
a lot of it is you will see a lot of them having like account managers trying to promote ad solutions to brands at this stage. So
Mm.
not just boosting ads, because boosting ad is probably your cheapest ad solution on TikTok. Typically, TikTok will now try to encourage brand owners to spend on other type of ads to generate more income for the company and also rewarding then brands with the views that they are looking for.
Do you think is TikTok is still worth it for like smaller teams?
I would say if your focus is brand awareness, especially towards the Malay target audience, it is
Mm.
still worth it because TikTok ideal is ultimately still a platform where a lot of Malay audience are heavily engaging on. So a
Mm.
lot of the shoppers on TikTok shop are Malays and
Mm.
their spending power and spending frequency is pretty high. So I would say for brands targeting the mass market audience, especially the Malay demographic, it is
Mhm.
still a platform worth spending on. Perhaps you
Mm.
don't need to immediately spend on the more expensive ad solutions that TikTok has. You can always start with boosting ads because even with like 1,000 ringgit, it could get you quite far. Talking
Mm.
about 1,000 ringgit a month, you could easily get a couple hundred followers and 20,000, 30,000 views per video. That's still achievable even with a small boosting budget. But you will need to be clear with what your intentions are on the platform. Don't
Mm.
expect heavy conversions immediately on the platform.
Mm.
It will take time and a lot of try and error to get there.
Wow. How do you decide which kind of posts deserve that kind of boost? And when do you play organic?
I would say if the client if let's say we were to strategize a content pillar for the client, right? Typically, how we do it is we will blend it with a mix of education, trend checking, as well as we call it like sales posts. So the sales post usually highlights the product or the service
Mm.
that the client offers. But that's still important to have it in your monthly content pillar
Mm.
to remind your audience what you actually do, what you actually sell, and what kind of benefit you get from
Mm.
working or purchasing the product. So I would say sales posts definitely would get more of the boosting for sure. A trend checking pillar, or sometimes we call it your entertainment pillar, we typically don't boost it because it's supposed to do well organically. If it's truly funny, if it's truly entertaining, it will take off.
Mm.
Education posts, we do allocate some budget to spend on it as well because not all education posts will take off instantly as audiences on social media when they come, they're just there to relax. Not everyone's there to learn, right? There are
Yes.
only certain group of people that are ready to learn. And
Mm.
hence you will need to actually boost this content to ensure that it reaches more audience because out of 100, for instance, perhaps only 20 are ready to learn something. So then hence they engage with the content. So you would need it to reach more volume of people.
Wow. And do you think posting frequency actually matters? Is there, because I remember last time it was like there's that danger of overposting, right? But right now,
Mm.
algorithm responding to it.
Yeah, the rule of thumb still applies quality over quantity, right?
Mm.
Quantity is definitely still important if you have the resources to make it happen, right?
Mm.
So if your team is only one person, like
Yeah.
a single social media manager, and you expect this individual to post every day, so 30 posts a month, I would say the quality will definitely be compromised and you may not see a lot of hits even in 30 posts per month because
Wow.
likely this individual is just trying to fulfill the KPI and just make sure that something goes up.
Mm.
If you only have one resource, I would say let this individual focus on 10 to 15 good content per month. It will be more than enough. Posting once every 2 days,
Mm.
but the content is truly funny or it has good value, it's inspirational, right? It will perform better than 30 mediocre posts.
Mm.
However, if you have a few people in your team that is dedicated to grow this channel, by all means, go for that 20, 30 content amount because it really does pay off to post more.
Mm.
But again, quality is still, the essence. It has to still be the main focus. So thinking about a good execution format that will make sure even with that 30 posts, it's still good quality 30 content a month. That's still going to be more important than just posting for the sake of meeting the frequency.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I assume that that is across all platforms also lah.
Yes, across all platforms.
Speaking about platforms, Xiaohongshu actually exploded so much in 2025. What do you think should seriously consider Xiaohongshu in 2026?
Yeah, so Xiaohongshu is indeed a platform at what TikTok was back in 2022. So brands who are listening to this, you should definitely take advantage of this platform
Mm.
while it is still at its maturing and growing stage. It's just in 1 or 2 years' time, you're not going to enjoy this kind of organic reach anymore, and you just got to start paying, right? So brands who should really take note of this platform are brands who, of course, firstly targeting Malaysian Chinese. So it is still a platform where most users are Chinese user because it is using the Mandarin characters. There are some English version of the app, but it's just not so user friendly for non-Mandarin speakers. So definitely Chinese Malaysians are still the top users on this platform, but not just Malaysians though. Singaporeans, Taiwanese, China, there's Chinese population across these Asian countries are also on this platform. So if your brand is looking to reach out to tourists from this country, I would say it is also a platform to watch out for.
Are there any like verticals that win on this platform, like beauty, lifestyle, F&B, that kind?
Yeah. Well, it started with F&B and travel being the most popular verticals on this platform.
Yeah.
Today, we see it expanding a lot more. People are using Xiaohongshu like their Google. They are literally searching for the latest news on the platform. I had a colleague who searched on how to renew their driving license on Xiaohongshu, right? Yeah, apparently there's a lot of advice, a lot of
Wow.
relationship advice as well, live advice on the platform. People are really using Xiaohongshu to do search for literally anything under the sun. So I would say
Mhm.
for it is a perfect time for brands to test the waters, regardless of what verticals you're at, because the consumers on this platform are using it like a Google. And, Google, people search their whole life on the platform, and at every stage of their life, they are searching how to write a resume, where to
Mm.
buy, where to get the best deals for certain things, how to plan my finances. These are all the information that are on Xiaohongshu today. So if your brand is offering any product or service, it is a good channel to actually test on.
Mm. Well, how do you see audience behavior differ from Xiaohongshu compared to TikTok or IG then?
Yeah, so Xiaohongshu is a platform where it is very heavily community driven. And I would say even the app owner is putting a lot of effort to ensure that that is actually the key USP of the platform. So brands who are looking to do hard sell content
Right.
will not really gain the best advantage out of this because you actually can't put your website on the in Xiaohongshu. You can't put your contact number. Even
Mm.
if someone were to say PM, and if you PM them your contact, you can risk the chance of getting banned. So if you're looking at, conversion goals,
Mm.
Xiaohongshu is not the platform for it. However, if you look at the marketing funnel, right? If your focus is on the consideration phase, for instance, if you're selling products like baby strollers, moms will do a lot of research on baby strollers, which one is the best one, what features to look out for, and then they will try to see whether are there enough reviews justifying the selling point of this stroller. Then
Mm.
Xiaohongshu is an amazing platform because you get these real, genuine reviews from the audience. Of course, some of them are likely your KOCs. KOCs, in fact, thrive very well on Xiaohongshu. You don't need to be super popular to be an influencer on Xiaohongshu. You can already be quite trustable, even with just a few hundred followers. And this is also an advantage for brands. You don't have to always engage very expensive influencers to promote your brand with Xiaohongshu. So for brands who are looking to strengthen their consideration phase, I would say especially for products that are perhaps higher ticket items that has a lot of features, a lot of elements that people are actually researching about before they make that final purchase, then yes, Xiaohongshu is amazing for that.
And would you say, let's just say, I mean, with a limited budget, where should brands prioritize, like TikTok, IG, Xiaohongshu? Because you mentioned that Xiaohongshu is still in that maturing era, right? So brands can actually utilize that for free right now.
Yes, yes. I would say of course, if your target audience are the Chinese Malaysian, Xiaohongshu is a great platform to start. But don't just use Xiaohongshu alone because you can't even put your website or phone number, which it will definitely affect the brand's conversion stage. So you would still need like a TikTok or Meta, which is Instagram account usually to lead your audience, direct them towards somewhere where they can make that final step to either purchase or inquire more about your product or go to your website to complete the transaction. You can run ads on Xiaohongshu, though I
Mm.
would say it is again still developing, not the most mature solution yet. The most mature one is definitely Meta. That's very straightforward. They have made it so simple and easy for brand managers or marketers to use it. TikTok is still coming in second. They are still making things better. And Xiaohongshu is the least mature in this stage. So I wouldn't even advise spending so heavily on Xiaohongshu ads at this stage until they strengthen their ecosystem. But yeah, Xiaohongshu is great for organic reach. If that's what brands are looking for at a tight budget. You would still need a sales channel. So choose either your TikTok or Instagram, which usually is Meta, falls under Meta.
Wow. And I would assume that the more platforms that you are on, the more authority that you are able to build through these digital platforms. And what do you think is the best way for brands to build authority when algorithms keep changing that way?
I would say platform again is just a tool. Doesn't
Mm.
mean if you're on more platforms, you gain more authority.
Mm.
You ultimately it still boils down to your content strategy, right? So what value are you bringing to the table for your audience? And can you pair it with a brand persona? So for service line, having a face or a few faces to be, the entertainer or the person who is a thought leader on that topic for your brand
Mm.
definitely helps a lot for service line kind of business. Like for instance, agency business, right? So having a face talking about this kind of topic, it
Mhm.
definitely builds that authority. For
Yeah.
product, I would say authority doesn't come so much on a person's, the founder. I mean, some of them use a founder-led strategy. So for small brands, founder-led strategy works really well. It's also very cost effective. You don't need to pay someone to keep talking about your product. But for FMCG brands, likely it will be more of utilizing influencers, community to really, really talk about your product and having more of these people actually talk about your product, it will help build that authority as well. Because I think authority, what's more powerful is when someone talks about you rather than you talk about yourself.
Yeah.
That's when you know you have really reached that stage of authority. Yeah. Because
Yes.
talking about yourself is, in other words, quite shocks and diri sometimes. Yes. So having more people talking about your brand is always going to be more powerful.
Wow. And what's the simplest way you would say for maybe like a smaller team to build that sustainable content system?
Okay. I would say if the focus is on building authority and community, start with the resources that you have. So, for instance, if you are in the service line, try to reach out to your clients to say, like, hey, can I have you do a testimonial in exchange for something free or a token of appreciation? So, that's where you probably don't need to pay so many influencers to talk about you, but you can try to leverage on your current customer or even in the product line, you can do that as well. I've seen this stroller brand again, like who did a very good job. They were going to launch a new stroller, and instead of paying influencers to talk about the new stroller, they actually get their customers to review,
Mm.
and before they even launch the product to the market. So when you watch the video, you feel like wow, it's quite genuine because these are like real people reviewing the product. So if your goal is building like authority as well as community, really
Mm.
try to look at how you can leverage on your current environment first, the people, whether it's your customers, your team members. I would say a lot of the viral videos actually come from the team members itself. In fact,
Oh,
on
wow.
our Stories Lab page, if you
Mm.
check out our Instagram, recently our team members are getting pretty famous for constantly being featured in our videos and with their amazing acting skills. It's also a more, I would say, lean way of getting talents on board, right? If you're having
Mhm.
a lean resource to grow your channel. So yeah, leverage on the people that you have or the clients that you have as a start. And of course, as you have a bit more budget and you grow, then only you start looking into more channels because again, if it's just one person, just be strong in one or two channels. And as you grow in your team size, then you can start adding more channels and more frequency.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of even the F&B brands recently. When they film content, they get their own stuffs to film, and it's so funny and
Yeah.
it builds that branding.
Yeah. In fact, if it's, their own staff who is in the video, chances of the video going viral is sometimes even higher because likely the staff will feel entertained watching themselves, right? So they start sharing to their friends, or maybe
Oh,
their friends are laughing at them and then their friends start to share it out. So you get this kind of organic push
mm,
versus like a professional talent that you hire. There is pros and cons. If you keep getting yourself to do it after some time, they get busy and sometimes they can't keep up with the frequency. However, yeah, of course, it has its advantage as well in terms of growing organically on its own.
well, if I was a very small team and if I had 4 hours a week, what do you think I should prioritize?
Right. So if you only have 4 hours a week, I would say go for more easy to medium kind of content to
Mm,
create. What I mean by that is, so in OSL, we tend to kind of categorize our content to easy, medium, hard. So easy content are like your very short video trends that you can film with one take with just an iPhone or with any phone. It requires very minimal editing and all you need is just like a caption. These are like your easy videos to create. Medium content would be content that perhaps require a bit of preparation, like script writing. You need a face in the video. You probably need some minimal setup to make it look aesthetic. So these are the medium content. And for the hard content, it will require more stakeholders, more planning in terms of what you is the true value you want to bring out of this video. There's
mm,
more people involved. So if you're only like have 4 hours a week, go for more easy content. We call it like your one take videos. It doesn't
mm,
have anything more than 2 to 3 scenes, and it
mm,
can be done in just like half an hour for like maybe even in half an hour you could capture like 2 3 videos for instance. Medium, you could try once every 2 weeks, perhaps, because these are like your higher quality stuff. Usually, the educational content will require more planning because you don't want to be just talking without any research or without any data to back up what you said. You also will need to cross check some information with the relevant stakeholders. So you can probably go with once every 2 weeks for your
mm,
filming so that you do it in a batch production. Yeah, that way you would definitely have a good mix of entertainment as well as some educational content before you start going into more high quality sales contents. Because usually for those product videos, you will need more better lighting, more planning of shots, right? And all those things comes with investment and time. So that's something that you can start doing once you have either more time or more resources.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Wow, that's really great advice. Thank you so much, Laura. I have one more question, if I may, before we end the entire podcast. If you could give marketers one advice for 2026, what would it be?
Right. I would say, well, marketing is not easy. For those who think that, marketers are always doing just the fun stuff, right? We are doing, it is true. It's quite fun. At the same time, it is one of the most challenging roles because it is not sales where you can sometimes just report the results. It's
True.
also not operations where you just report yourself being more efficient. Yeah, in
Yeah.
marketing, a lot of times the results are sometimes intangible. Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes it takes time, and obviously some of it is very tangible. If you
Mm,
are in a performance marketing role, it's oftentimes very tangible. So
yeah.
I would say marketers in 2026, if there's anything I could leave you with is just to really enjoy the content you're creating. Yeah,
Mm,
because I believe, yeah, marketers are always pressured to do things faster, more efficient, with, you know, at cheaper cost. And honestly, these things does drain creativity away. It drains the enjoyment out of the job. But if you really look back at the essence of marketing, our main role is to make things enjoyable, right? Whether it's in the form of content or in the form of an ad or in
mm,
the form of a photo, it's to make things fun, memorable, impactful. So with all this whole AI movement and algorithms changing and so forth, right? I would say the essence of it all is you really need to find your niche, what you're good at, and try to enjoy the process, enjoy the stuff you're producing, so that when the stuff actually goes up online or wherever it goes up, you're proud of the work. You're proud of the
Mm.
work you do. And I think that is the foundation of a good marketer.
Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation. It was so insightful. I would like to kind of conclude it that brands that win in 2026 will be the one who tell great stories, right? Yeah. So thank you so much for this conversation. If there is one clear takeaway today is that in this world flooded with AI content and of course shrinking attention spans, the brands that win aren't the loudest. And as Laura shared, brands that win in 2026 will be the ones who tells the best stories in the most intentional way possible. So, for everyone watching, this episode is part of the Eber Show, where we explore how marketers across Asia are building visibility, loyalty, and authentic customer engagement in 2026 and further. So, you can catch the full episode replay on our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, or on the Eber blog under the Loyalty Hub. Thank you so much for joining us, Laura. We're so grateful for your time. And if you would like to check out our Stories Lab, you can find Laura on her LinkedIn as well. Her name is Laura Wong. She is the founder of our Stories Lab, and they are also across social media platforms, right? Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.